It all begins with a man running deep into the woods. While he's looking at a map, he comes across an armed man. The armed man pulls his gun toward the other man and asks for the map. Before he could have shot the other man, something strange comes from behind. The armed individual doesn't waste any time, and he quickly shoots the other man. Before the victim could have rested in peace, he hears screams, gunshots, and strange growling sounds. Finally, the armed man falls beside him, and they both perish. Sometime later, a car is seen going into what seems like a remote area. It's a house in the middle of nowhere. A guy named Nick comes out of the car along with his dog. He looks around and walks toward the cabin. Nick knocks at the door, but the place seems abandoned. Suddenly, his dog runs away. Nick calls the dog, but ends up running after it. He comes across what looks like a half-devoured kangaroo. Suddenly, someone creeps up behind him. Nick quickly turns around as if his body alarmed to defend himself. It turns out it is just his brother Tristan. They both have a little chat, and they return to the house. They inherited this house from their grandfather. Later on, they both come out again and bury the kangaroo. All of a sudden, something across the lake suddenly starts to growl. Max, the dog, starts to bark, and both Tristan and Nick panic. The sound is so loud that it seems like the unknown animal is the size of an elephant or even bigger. They quickly run toward their house and close the door. At night, Nick and Tristan are sitting outside, talking to each other. Suddenly, they start to hear the same growls coming from the woods. They both are surprised by the loud noise, and they immediately go inside. In the middle of the night, when everyone is sleeping, Nick wakes up from the strange sounds coming from outside. Max is also growling and barking, trying to go after the noises. Nick decides to explore the place and exits his room. As he comes out, he sees Tristan awake too. As they're quietly reaching toward the door, a shadow of something huge appears behind them. They keep moving forward and open the lounge door as they don't know what could potentially be outside. As they open the door, they hear the same sounds coming from outside. Max starts to bark before both Nick and Tristan could have gone outside. They are terrified when they see a glimpse of something. They take a deep breath and try to calm themselves. The unknown creature they saw vanishes inside the woods. The next day, they find huge claw marks on their front porch. They feel surprised as those marks cannot come from a cat or dog. Instead, they're of some enormous animal. Things, however, get back to normal when a few of Tristan's friends arrive. Jason, Kate, and BJ sit on the back deck at night, drinking and partying. Suddenly, they hear a loud growl coming from the woods. They're so drunk that they find it funny, and they start to laugh. BJ asks Jason to check what it is. Jason enters the woods. It's pitch darkness everywhere. Since he's drunk, he finds it difficult to even walk properly and falls to the ground. However, he keeps walking deep inside the woods. Sometime later, his loud scream is heard from inside the woods. Nick and Anya are beyond worried, and Nick runs after Jason and finds him beside a tree. As he's trying to drag him, he sees what seems like a pair of red glowing eyes in the branches. He quickly takes Jason with him and leaves the woods. When the rest ask Nick if he has seen something, he says he didn't. Nick is rummaging through the old stuff where he finds a map and a news article about a missing girl. Nick and Tristan leave for the town. Nick starts to dig further into a missing persons case and realizes that his grandfather used to study mythical creatures. The rest are back in the house. Rebecca decides to go swimming in the lake. As she's walking inside the woods, she hears a loud growl. She fearfully looks around and finds a huge tree-like creature with red glowing eyes. Her heart skips a beat, and as she retreats, she twists her ankle and feels an immense amount of pain in her foot. She tries to regain her balance and looks again for the monster. To her horror, there is nothing there anymore. She knows that the beast is nearby, so she starts to limp forward. She once again hears the growls. She jumps inside the water to save herself when something tries to grab her. Fortunately for her, it is just BJ. Tristan wanted to sell the place because of the happening, but Nick never agreed. However, after Jason's incident, Nick agrees because of the horror he saw in the woods. A few moments later, he sees night vision goggles in the real estate agent's office that seem like the red glowing eyes he had seen earlier. He also finds the map framed on one of the walls. He realizes something is wrong and asks Mr. Richards, the agent, for more time to think about the sale. Tristan feels irritated but obliges. As they return home, they learn about Rebecca and feel worried as it has been quite some time, and she hasn't returned yet. A random guy is fishing near the lake, and he finds Rebecca near the lake too. What happens next is downright disturbing. As she turns around, her eyeballs are missing. The guy is horrified to the point that he lets out a loud scream. Tristan is worried, so he plans to look around for Rebecca. All the friends except Anya and Nick go into the woods. Nick has other plans. He decides to expose the real estate agent, Mr. Richards. He asks Anya to come along with him. They park outside his office and spy on him. They see the agent and another hooded figure exiting a car. The agent comes toward Anya, and Nick quickly hides from him. He inquires why she's standing there and acting all suspicious. Later on, the agent drives back to where he came from. As Mr. Richards leaves, Nick enters his office. It looks more like a laboratory than an office. There are guns, chemicals, and pictures of a skull of some strange animal displayed there. Meanwhile, all the friends wander in the woods, looking for Rebecca. Tristan and BJ are walking together with flashlights in their hands, hoping to find Rebecca as soon as possible. Jason is searching the entire area with Kate when suddenly they see something approaching them. They both start running, looking behind, making sure they're not being followed. Max is tied on the front porch and keeps barking, trying to escape, and finally does. Finally, BJ and Tristan find Rebecca, but in the dark, they can't look at her eyes. Suddenly, they find themselves in a trance, and they start to follow her. Luckily, Max comes and hits Rebecca. She falls into the lake, and they both escape the trance. They see Kate and Jason coming from the other direction. They are screaming, asking both to run back and save themselves from whatever creature is following them. Suddenly, something starts pulling Kate inside the lake. She struggles to free herself, but unfortunately, she can't make it and drowns in the lake. They all had no option but to leave without her. As they're sitting inside the house, someone bangs on the door. Tristan opens the door and finds his dad standing in front of him. There are several other men with him, including Mr. Richards. They all look like military personnel. Tristan feels puzzled as he has not seen his dad Sam for many years. Tristan's father explains that they are all trying to eliminate the unknown creature. Sam also says that the same thing killed Tristan's grandfather and grandmother as well. Tristan's father is sympathetic and asks them to aid him in his hunt for vengeance. Tristan agrees, and Sam hands everyone a gun. Meanwhile, Garvey, his grandfather's friend, and some people surround Nick and Anya outside Mr. Richards' cabin. They inform Nick that they're hunting for mythical creatures, and the creature haunting the place is not fictional but real. Anya kind of feels betrayed as Nick has left her all alone. Garvey informs Nick that his grandfather does the same thing. Garvey narrates the story of a wise man, Biomi. His job was to protect his land, people, and all the animals. However, one man decided to go against him, which enraged Biomi, who decided to punish him. During the fight, the man who opposed Biomi took on a spirit form, and after taking the form, he became something that was later on known as Bonan. He was known for devouring anyone who tried to stop him. This thing is still out there. The people of the tribe feared Bonan and asked Biomi for protection from the evil spirit. Biomi decided to cage Bonan forever. Several years later, 3 women tried to test Bonan's powers and entered the cave where he was contained. Bonan took their souls and put them under his spell. Those women lured men, and now it's happening all again. Bonan has taken 2 girls under his spell and is in search of a third one. He will do anything to catch her as well. Anya returns and runs into the house, looking for her friends. She finds the house completely dark and empty. She looks around to find someone, but she becomes unconscious when someone hits her from behind. Surprisingly, it's Nick's father, Sam. Tristan tries to stop him, but Sam pulls up the gun on them and asks them to enter the van. Their plan is to lure Bonan through Anya and then attack it. They're using Anya as a bait. Their plan is to capture the creature and get the money for it, and they are ready to sacrifice anything that is required. Sam asks her to stay silent, and they all wait quietly. Nobody is allowed to make any sound. Suddenly, the creature comes from under the water. The whole area goes wild with gunshots, while Anya tries to set herself free. Sam and the crew have brought a lot of equipment that would be used to attack the creature. Finally, they capture the creature in a vast net. After a long struggle, Anya frees herself. She hits Mr. Richards and runs away. Sam does not notice Anya leaving. He is busy capturing the creature. Sam asks his men to bring the tranquilizers, but it doesn't work. Then he asks them to get the equipment that would electrocute the it. But before they can do so, the creature puts them away and sets itself free. Meanwhile, Tristan and Anya are going to find a car they can use. They want to drive away from the place. Finally, they find one, but before they could have driven away, one of Sam's men sits beside them and asks them to drive. Before Jason could have started the car, the creature tears open the truck and pulls the man out. Tristan and Anya are feeling terrified. They both get out of the truck and start to run away. Meanwhile, BJ and Jason steal another van, and they ask the others to get in the truck. Jason keeps driving, and Tristan jumps in. Anya is running after the truck, trying to get in. Before she could have held Tristan's hand, Mr. Richards gets her and calls the creature. but Anya sets herself free and runs inside the woods. She hides behind a tree, trying to make no sound at all. She could see her life hanging before her. Her heart is beating fast as she tried to stay quiet. She takes deep breaths as she can hear the creature in the distance approaching her. Suddenly, the creature attacks Mr. Richards. His loud cries echoes throughout the whole forest. Anya is trying to save herself when, out of nowhere, Sam gets her and places his hand over her mouth so that she does not make any sound. Tristan fights with BJ and Jason and asks them to return and save Anya. BJ hesitates to return as he is scared of the creature, but eventually agrees. Tristan can see the creature running towards them. He keeps shooting the creature from the back of the truck and asks BJ to drive faster. BJ is panicking because of the creature following them, and this leads to the truck hitting the trees in the woods. BJ is feeling terrified as he steps out of the truck. He turns around and finds out that Jason has perished because of the car crash, but he can't find Tristan anywhere. Suddenly, he sees Kate at some distance. He knows it's not her as he saw her drown in the water. He asks her to stay away from him, but as he turns around, he finds Rebecca behind him. He screams at the top of his lungs when he sees the creature, and he ultimately passes out. Meanwhile, Nick is unaware of the whole situation as he's with Garvey. As he returns to his place, he finds the house empty. He searches the entire house, but he can't find anyone. As he comes out of the house, he finds a truck upside down in the backyard. He feels perplexed as he can't understand what is going on. He examines the truck and sees some other strange things around. When Tristan returns to his senses, he finds himself trapped. He looks around and finds BJ trapped too, just like him. There are some other bodies too, but everyone is lifeless. It looks like a cave to him. BJ is bleeding badly. Tristan tries to release his hands, but somehow his hands are trapped inside the cave walls. He is puzzled at how his hands got inside the wall. He feels hopeless as he sees the creature approaching. BJ's shouts are echoing through the cave. The creature is slaying him. Tristan doesn't want to see the whole thing, and he closes his eyes. BJ is helpless, and he wishes he didn't come to this area in the first place. The following day, Nick sits alone, trying to understand what is happening to him. Garvey comes to him and explains how important it is to find Anya before the creature does. Nick does not want to believe in all of this, but Garvey tells him it is a reality whether he agrees or not. Sam is carrying Anya to the same place where Bonan has kept the other hostages. It is a strange cave-like place. Sam has brought Anya as bait for the creature. He wants to attract the beast and then slay it to get the money. Anya is feeling angry. She struggles to free herself, but fails. He leaves Anya there, who is tied to one of the rocks. Nick and Garvey reach the cave. Garvey asks him to enter, and he follows after Nick. He tells Nick to go inside and save Anya. He hands him a weapon that can help him slay the creature. Meanwhile, Rebecca and Kate are approaching Anya. Anya feels nervous as she is unable to run away from the place. Both girls are under the creature's spell. Suddenly, the beast comes near Anya. She can feel her heart pounding fast. She takes a deep breath as she sees her life flashing before her eyes. The creature approaches Anya. Garvey and Nick are inside the cave. Garvey announces that the ritual has started. Nick finds Sam sitting nearby. He feels angry and punches him in the face and starts to fight him. Anya can feel her soul leaving her body. Her gaze is empty. Sam is trying to stop Nick from approaching Anya. During their violent battle, Nick electrocutes Sam. Garvey approaches the creature and hits him with the weapon. Rebecca and Kate approach Nick, but they can't reach him as he's holding a weapon. Garvey keeps hitting the creature. Suddenly, Nick attacks the creature with his weapon. Suddenly, both girls come out of their trance, and Garvey asks Nick to take them out of there. The creature hides away from Garvey. Nick asks the girls to leave as he has to return to save Garvey. The girls leave the cave. The creature creeps behind Garvey and hits him. He falls to the ground, but stands back up and attacks the creature. Nick goes inside and tries to free his brother. He sets his brother's arms free. Suddenly, Sam shoots Nick. The bullet hits him in his guts. Nick informs Tristan how to leave the place, but he isn't ready to let go of his dear brother that easily. Nick insists, and Tristan leaves. As Tristan leaves, Sam shoots again, but Nick counters and attacks Sam. They both start fighting one last time. Meanwhile, Garvey is fighting with the creature. Suddenly, the whole cave starts to break. The creature slowly begins to lose its power and is on the verge of dying. Tristan returns to save his brother, but the whole place blows up. Tristan stands there and can't do anything about it. He sadly walks toward the house. Anya sees Tristan in despair and realizes the unspoken truth, and she starts crying. Knowing that Nick and their other friends can't return anymore, the girls and Tristan have no option but to sit inside the truck and leave the place for good.